Hello.
Hi.
How have you been?
I'm good. And how are you?
I'm doing good.
All
I'm
right.
doing good. So it's just an amazing opportunity to see what is happening here in Senegal at this VL and TO's training. What are your impressions so far, especially for today and the whole program that has been put together?
The experience has been awesome, and I'm super excited to be here because I'm learning a lot from people. And I'm getting knowledge that I never thought I would. And I'm learning from other countries, especially during our sessions, what other countries are doing.
Great.
And it's really amazing that we're sharing this knowledge.
Okay.
And I believe that going far, we'll never be the same when we're living here. And how have you been so far?
Great. Very great. So earlier we were here as training officers to have a good understanding of what we need to be doing to support you, and you guys coming for us to support each other, to support the volunteers ultimately. So for your information, I'm coming from Ghana. Ghana is a lovely country. This is our second year of the program. We're actually having our second batch of volunteers. We've started the recruitment for Group 3. And I just see this experience as being very unique in the way it's been planned. And just for your information, this is my third trainer of trainers.
Wow.
I had the first one in Kenya, then I had one in Rwanda, and this third one. And I can just see how the CorpsAfrica program is becoming better and better with each training and with each opportunity. How is the feeling really like for you and your colleague, VLs?
So far, the feeling is amazing. At the same time, I was nervous when I was coming here because I just joined CorpsAfrica this month on the 1st of June. I was a volunteer before, but now as a VL. So I was nervous. I didn't know what to expect, but I believe the environment is so welcoming and I'm learning a lot. People are warm and I'm really happy and I'm doing great. And I believe that I'll be better.
Absolutely. So your name again?
My name is Hope Ngondo, coming from Malawi.
Malawi has such an interesting story when it comes to CorpsAfrica, because you were the third country beyond Morocco, Senegal was Malawi, right?
Yes.
And what cohort did you serve in?
I served in cohort 6 in we call it in the southern region of Malawi, which is Mulanje. Yes, and I'll just talk more about my project, what I did.
Right.
I did an under-5 clinic with my community because there was no under-5 clinic and they had to walk more about 7 kilometers to get to the nearest clinic. So as a community, they decided that they needed an under-5 clinic. So we did this under-5 clinic, and for now it's serving more than 1,000 people in the community. And I'm really excited now. This is one of my greatest achievements that I'm proud of.
Talk of low cost, high impact, right? These are some of the ideologies that we push in CorpsAfrica. Just getting Africans, helping Africans, the African volunteers, African communities, lasting impact, right?
Yes.
So that is exactly what you have. For us, when we trained the first group of volunteers in Ghana, it gave me a lot of learning. So I come from a training background. I used to work as the head of training in a financial institution in Ghana. And it was great. I enjoyed what I did. But then I also had a love for young people and believing in this African idea of Africans giving hope to Africans, especially the young people. I would not say our elders have failed us, but I think my generation has actually failed you guys. And so it's an opportunity to kind of cleanse my conscience with what is happening. And let's just talk a bit about the program. So how did you really appreciate the training that you went through from PST to you finished?
For me, I really appreciated the training because it really shaped me. At first, let me start with my background. I'm coming from a background where I studied social work, which is a helping profession, but I've never practiced that before. So being in CorpsAfrica, it was my first time practicing, like talking to people, public speaking, and this training really helped me to shape me to a person whereby I can interact with people without having any fears in me because I was not a good public speaker. But this training really did a great job to me. And I was able to understand people on a different level and also understand community dynamics because sometimes being a person growing up in an urban area without knowing what community dynamics are, it really helped me to understand these people more than I usually did. And I'm now an open-minded person, whereby I'm able to see beyond and listen to people more, because I wasn't a patient person, to be very honest. I always wanted things to be done right after, but I learned to be very patient through these trainings, and I'm a really changed person. Through these trainings, I'm really changed.
Amazing.
I'm never the same.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And just to give background to even our viewers and listeners to understand what goes into the CorpsAfrica program, it is the level of intentionality. We are really intentional, whatever we do, whatever we say, and whatever we think. When you look at the PST program, it's more like a boot camp.
Yes.
And the focus is on the volunteer. We are looking at your health. We're looking at your welfare, your safety, your security, communication, projects, CorpsAfrica itself, and so on and so forth. The focus is on how the volunteer begins a journey of transformation.
Yes.
Then you are sent into the community through the CBT experience. I don't know how your CBT experience was. Can you just describe that, the community-based training where you actually sent into the community? How was it like for you when you were told after the initial training that, okay, you are going to now face reality?
Oh, okay. Let me start with my impression.
Okay.
After they told me that I'm going to the southern region of Malawi, because I'm based in the central region of Malawi. Okay. So when I was told that I'm going to the southern region of Malawi and my community doesn't have electricity, I was shocked. And that's where I started that this is really what I want. I started to think about my life. But looking at other volunteers who have served before in that community, I told myself that if they did it, why can I not do it? And I started thinking as I was going home. After PST, I was still thinking, but then I looked at a bigger picture. I just didn't look at what was happening now, but I looked beyond. What is this going to help me in future? So I started to think that this is the biggest move that I'm making in my life, and it's a great move. So after the PST, I moved to my community. At first, I was nervous. I didn't know what to say to the people, but I really managed. I started to make small conversations with people.
Okay.
Yes. And after some time, it was even after a week that I was relaxed now. And I told myself that this is what I want and this is what I want to do. And I would do it.
Wow.
From that moment, everything started flowing.
Wow.
And I'm really proud of myself. Now, looking at me now as a volunteer liaison officer, I'm super excited that this is what I wanted and I'm here and I would do it.
Absolutely. So at this point in our conversation, let's try and skew it to exactly what our collaboration is supposed to be. So coming into this training, into this whole program, what were your expectations? How were you hoping to get to learn to work with training officers and the VLs? How did that reach out to you?
At first, I didn't think that we're going to have this training together.
Okay.
Yeah, but being here and having this training together with the TOs and the VLs, I feel like it's something that is really important because at some point our work connects.
It does. All the time.
It connects.
All the time.
And hearing all the comments and things that are being said to this training, I believe that it's something that is really important that we need to be doing oftenly. And I think we can also, because our work mostly, we work together as TOs and VLs, but we can also have a training with the M&E officers because I think it's
fantastic.
It's a connection. We connect at some point. And having this training, I believe we're going to be better and we're going to work better as we go to our countries. and we will have a great connection.
I agree, and I just need you to give you a background as to why this is happening. This is actually a dream come true. So we all came into CorpsAfrica with our different expertise and our different understanding of what we're supposed to do. But one thing that connects all of us, the different people that work in CorpsAfrica, is the fact that we are all working towards making the volunteers personally and professionally better.
Yes.
So we model for the volunteers what they should model in the community.
Yes.
And what are the needs of community? The various developmental agencies have come into community development and they've tried to support community work. Okay, there's some go in there, they provide aid, and some go in there, they do things for people. But in our case, we work with community members to identify what they already have in terms of their assets. That's the ABCD.
Yes.
Then community-led development, where they have the community power and the community access and the community connection.
Yes.
Then we add the HCD, which has to do with they asking the relevant questions to be able to take their own development into their own hands. And one thing that is critical for me is the dignity of the community.
Yes.
You know, poverty robs one of dignity. And it's not only poverty of resources, but poverty of ideas.
Yes, exactly.
The other thing that I've noticed, which helps, is the fact that in our African setting, we are not used to waiting for things to happen for us. We make things happen.
Yes.
For instance, when you have a funeral, you don't wait for the other community members to plan for you. You start planning, right? So this idea of waiting for development partners to come and help us, waiting for someone to pick up the tab on some cost is alien, actually. But we can say that over the last half century since developmental aid has been coming to us, we've grown used to that, and it's been made more complicated by the coming in of politicians who try to say, okay, you vote for me and I'll make that happen and all that. What we are trying to do is to try and change that narrative and change that perception.
Yes.
How do you think our volunteers are prepared with this kind of mindset?
During the trainings,
Yeah.
I think they're prepared in the sense that most of the time, I think, let me start with this. I think the volunteers, when they are applying for CorpsAfrica, they really don't know what is going to be happening in CorpsAfrica.
Okay.
They think that they're just going to go into the communities and make a project on their own, but they don't know the approach of CorpsAfrica. So this training doesn't help the volunteers alone. It also helps the communities.
Absolutely.
Because it is a mindset change program
Absolutely.
and, like I said, training. So the volunteers are trained, and they're not the same anymore when they are leaving the trainings or after the COAs.
Okay.
Yeah, so they really grow. I really don't know if I'm making sense, but you can add on that.
Okay, so this is what I see. I have watched the transition of volunteers from when they are applicants, applying to a call, so when they come through the interview process, till they are accepted and given an offer and invited to come to PST, where they become trainees. And then through the training program, they come through and then they are sworn in as volunteers. They are deployed, they go through the program for the first 3 months, they come back for IST1, and you can begin to hear the conversations about the change in mindset from what community am I going into to one which says, my community has this, my community does that. And the part that really excites me is when they come back for IST1 and they are doing the gallery walk. And when they have to present their communities and especially where they live and all of that. For me, that's where the transition and the mental shift begins to happen. And then they are beginning to get responsible because you must take care of yourself, do all the bi-weekly surveys and all of that. Till they become in IST2 where they are now zeroing in on community engagement and how they can undertake a primary project. But before then, they do all these integration activities of reusable sanitary pad or kitchen gardens or junior CorpsAfrica and all of these things. So these are the practical things that they can use to even convince other development partners of their growth and professional development. Then comes COS, which is celebration. COS is what? Close of service, right? And that is where, for me, you see the fruition of it. And for me, I feel that is even where the beginning of their professional career begins.
Yes, exactly.
After that, you're either going back to school, or you're looking for a job, or you go into your own private business, and all of that. The interesting thing I want us to talk about is the relationships that volunteers create.
Yeah.
From being total strangers
to friends
and brethren and sistering, if that is allowed. So they become so bonded in the alumni association. And when they bring them back to do things like alumni panel discussions on integration, on projects and all of that, in your experience, having gone through this transformational journey, what would you tell someone who is listening to us and is considering becoming a volunteer?
Okay. What I always say, even to my friends who want to join CorpsAfrica, I always tell them first that this program is not for someone who just wants to have a job and doesn't have passion.
Great.
They really need to have passion for serving communities.
Right.
And if you're not ready for that, please
don't try.
Don't, because you're going to drop out. Because we have had some cases.
Wow.
Like in our country, people leaving the service because they have found other jobs. Maybe I feel like they didn't really want the service. They just wanted something to do. They didn't want to serve the people. So if they find another job, they drop out from the service. So I really tell people, if you really want to join CorpsAfrica, please have the passion to serve. And if you really want to be changed, to be transformed, this is the place to be.
Absolutely. Yeah. And what they don't realize when they drop after the program is that they deny some people the opportunity.
Yes, exactly.
You know? Yes. And so what we do in Ghana to prevent that is to make sure between the first week of being at PST, we try to let you understand that this is a 1-year service. Please commit to it. But I must also confess that we've had people still dropping out. But that is not a problem. We will still know that people will change along the line.
Yes.
Now, coming to, let's just shift our conversation to how at the end of the day TOs and VLs are going to be better prepared for the next crop of volunteers who are going to be training. It's just been a few days in the training program, but how do you perceive this collaboration happening? There's a point you made, and I'll come to touch on that once you have this conversation around the future of what you see. This collaboration, all of us being in the same space, understanding the same concept and walking you through that. You from a VL perspective and me from a training manager's perspective.
Okay, from the few days that we've been together, I've seen that there's a great connection in terms of the sessions that we're having, because we are learning a lot from the TOs as much as the VLs. But I've seen that our work, we just need to connect, because in terms of training, we don't just have to leave it to the TOs.
Thank you.
We also really need to go in. We also really need to go in because there are other things that we as VLs need to qualify. And it's our job to do that. So I believe after this training, we're going to work together and share the training materials, and always
you have no idea how much gladness that brings to me. You know, when a TO is planning and putting the training together, the schedules together, one of the things that is so scary is when you think about, can I just suggest to a few friends or colleagues in the office to help out? And they go, no, we are not training people. You are the guy with the training budget. Just go train it. And yet, when you come, you realize that if the volunteer does not get the training well, you, the VL, will have to bear the brunt of it because you are there in the community. They will go and misrepresent certain things and you'll have a challenge. The other thing that this collaboration is going to help us do is to help communities better perceive the volunteer as somebody who is really supported. Because then in the field, the VL is there to support. In the office, the TO is there to support. And when I come on the field to visit, I should have a checklist of what to see that the VL may not see and what to hear that the VL may not have picked up. And to have that debrief between the VL and the training officer. So we plan sessions together. For instance, if there are training programs that volunteers are organizing, the training officer needs to know about it. He needs to give input to it, walk them through the session guide. As the training progresses, you will find out that you will be trained on how to write objectives as simple as that. In every objective, and I can just explain that. you write an objective that says what? By the end of this session, participants should be able to must give a performance, must give a performer, must have a condition under which the activity is supposed to be undertaken. And then you must also talk about the standard to which they must do it. That way, that objective is SMART, which means it's simple, measurable, attainable, reasonable, and time-bound by the end of this session. When you know that and you are planning a session, you will realize when you start talking to volunteers, number one, they are adults. Volunteers are not children. So they have a way they want to learn. Number two, you need to connect to their interests. So things like team building activities, energizers must connect with what you want to train on. And then you come to the information part of your presentation, where you now tell them the information they need to know so they can perform whatever action they need to perform. Maybe health and safety, maybe communications, right? And then you come to the practice. They should be able to practice whatever skill or concept you are teaching. And finally, to be able to apply it. If VLs and training officers agree on just this format, you will find that planning training sessions will be a lot easier. And the support will be real and fundamental. Okay. So I believe that as we do this together and we build on it going forward, it will no longer be an issue about training being forced down the throat of VLs, but VLs actually observing certain traits, especially when it comes to volunteer competencies. You know, the volunteer competencies is one clear area where you can actually measure the growth of volunteers. If one is not able to do it properly, you have challenges. What has been your experience with the volunteer competence? At what point did you realize that, okay, I have now honed these competencies and I can actually go out on my own?
Okay, I would say when I was going for IST2, when they were assessing us, our VOs and training officers, when they were assessing us through their volunteer competencies and asking us some of the questions, I realized that I've really grown in some of the competencies. I was really taking them. Like this, I'm able to do this, I'm able to do. That's when I realized that there is no turning back and I am going forward.
Wow. Awesome. Into what will you do differently at the end of this training program? What are some of the takeaways? What are the things that are going to change fundamentally with you?
For me, I would take it like personally. After this training, what I would do differently in my country. Because I don't have a set of volunteers yet that are under me. But when I have these volunteers who are going to be under me, I've learned some of the things from other VOs from other countries, the way they handle their volunteers. For example, I'll take an example from Kenya. I was having a conversation with Samuel from Kenya.
Samuel?
How they handle their volunteers. They, in terms of community mapping, they really follow up on that. Their VOs are always there when the communities are doing community mapping to really make sure that the communities understand what community mapping is. Because in our country, sometimes, you know how work is, it's too much and they cannot follow anyone. Have they done community mapping? But I think that idea is really great. It's something that I would love to do for my volunteers to understand, to really understand what this approach of CorpsAfrica is. They shouldn't just do just because we have told them to do, but they should really do it from their heart, that they really understand what ABCD, HCD is. So I really like that idea a lot.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for sharing that. And for me, coming from you gives me a lot of hope and a lot of encouragement that this is really, really needed. And like you initially imagined that we should have this training with M&E officers. We should have the same training with the communications officers. We should have the same training with even the partnership and philanthropic officers. So all the various departments or people that work in the country office should have these collaborative trainings. Why? Because it makes the understanding easy. Listen, at the end of the day, when volunteers are transformed and they transform communities, CorpsAfrica gets to be known globally. When the volunteers are going through their training process and the program, so now we are being called program team.
Yes.
We are no longer training team and VLs. We are the program team.
Yes.
The program team are the ones that are continuously monitoring how the program is going. And I can see how the program itself is changing and growing. Now we are 9 countries. By God's grace, we may go to about 15 countries. And the target is to be in all the 54, 55 countries in Africa. Can you just imagine the kind of movement that we will have?
Yes, I can imagine.
Imagine that 90% of all the country staff are former volunteers who have the volunteer mindset. And talking about volunteerism, it is one of the things that is a no-brainer, yet something a lot of people don't want to do because people feel it doesn't pay and all of that. But I think it is one of the low-hanging fruits for our continent to develop so that people are more altruistic, where they do things because they have what it takes to do it, not because they'll be remunerated for it. A lot of young people are running into corporate world, into IT, whatever, just to try and find an expression.
Yes.
But there really is no value because true living is when you live for others. And imagine that no river drinks from its own water. And no tree enjoys its own shade, okay? And so what I just feel as we wrap up this conversation and this discussion, and by the way, it's been a very insightful one.
Yes.
I have learned so much from you. Are there any final comments you want to share, any learnings you want to give so that our viewers can really have a great time that they've listened to us?
Okay, for me, it's just a question for you as a training officer.
Okay.
You said you have been working with CorpsAfrica for 3 years now?
For 2 years now.
2 years now.
Yeah.
So I believe you have trained a lot of volunteers. And what is one thing that you're most proud of, seeing people transform, people you have trained?
Wow. Which one do I say? For me, it's just observing visually how a trainee becomes an alumni.
Yes.
And is now a member of staff on my team.
Amazing.
I mean, nothing beats that. Where at one point, I was helping you get the basics of ABCD, ACD, and today, you and I are staff, and we are planning the next PST or COS or whatever. That is one. 2 is to see the confidence that these volunteers display. I mean, when I go to pitch day and I see them defending their community projects, it's just amazing. And I see how they are becoming better people and better citizens. So I've signed up my life to this. It is my life goal, and I trust that I'll do this to the end of my life.
Amazing.
That's
amazing.
Anyway, so yes, it's been great having this conversation with you. Once again, yes, the name again, so that our viewers can know.
Okay, once again, my name is Hope Ngondo from Malawi.
Okay, and my name is Papa Ray from Ghana, training manager. It's been an awesome time coming your way. We believe that you will be excited to follow us and to be able to still engage in the conversation. Reach out to us. Click on our links and please just get the conversation going. Let everyone know. Let the word be out. We are here for good. And CorpsAfrica, as we say, the sky is not just the limit. The sky is beyond the limit, okay? And for us, we are still going to be what? African volunteers, African communities creating lasting impact. Awesome.